All right, I think I'm going to get us going. So thank you, everyone. This is just as a recap. This is our Platform Security and Privacy What's New in Xanadu webinar. Just normal forward-looking statements apply. Please make your decisions based on the publicly available information. While we don't anticipate it, there might be some things that we share that are forward-looking. Please make your decisions on anything related to buying based on publicly disclosed information. We have several webinars lined up throughout the year, and join us for some of our future ones with the webinars with our 360 exchanges. I know we've had some at Knowledge. I know we have some events throughout the year. There'll be a link that will be shared in today's chat. I think Christine is going to help me out with that one. And then just some housekeeping items. We saved some time for Q&A at the end. Again, please use the Q&A button at the bottom of your Zoom chat. The presentation today will be recorded and shared on the ServiceNow community. And then after the event, you'll be prompted to fill out a short survey. Thank you so much for your feedback. We're always striving to improve. So let us know how we did and how we could do better next time. And then with that, let's dive into it. So these are the folks that are going to be giving you a demo and talking to you about our new platform security Xanadu features. My name's Andrew Vitolo. I'll be covering our data privacy capabilities, which is part of Vault. I have fantastic, wonderful people with me is Brianna Boss. She's going to talk to you about what's new in Access Analyzer. It's been one of our most beloved tools as part of platform security. She's going to tell you about some of the cool new features that are going to be coming out there. Taylor Okasinski is going to be taking us through what's new in Security Center, another huge product about focusing on your security posture. Thrilled to what she's got to share with us. And then last but not least, Derek Borland, he's going to be taking us through access controls and the new access control that's going to be really changing how both admins and developers build access controls on the ServiceNow platform. So let's just recap real quick. What are the pillars of platform security? So foundationally, we have all the things you need to make sure that the platform is secure. But on top of it, we have different pillars that are to be focusing on helping protecting data. So ServiceNow Vault is our premium offering of tools. We're going to touch on that first of what's new in terms of the products there. Then we're going to be able to touch on ServiceNow Security Center, which is all about evaluating your security posture throughout your instances. And then, of course, IAM is just core and foundational to the whole platform, from who has access to what to authentication controls and authorization. That is the basis for platform security and our webinar today. So this is what we have to discuss today, and I'm going to go through these real quick because we're going to go through them in depth. But we're going to start out with data privacy, which is all about handling sensitive data on the platform. We've added additional coverage for supporting journal fields. We've introduced some real-time discovery and anonymization using actually the UI for configuration as opposed to our APIs. And then we've also introduced record-level discovery of granular findings. For our Security Center offering, which is all about security posture, we've added custom event notifications, security banner announcements, and now we have a Security Center multi-instance posture dashboard. So looking at multiple instances, central point of data, central dashboard. For Access Analyzer, there's a new capability called Access Simulator that Brianna is going to talk to you about. And then the last but not least, we're going to be covering the deny unless access control as part of our authorization controls. We're going to start with what's new in ServiceNow Vault. And with ServiceNow Vault, again, as a recap, there are multiple premium products that are available for your organization. And the specific one that we're going to cover today is our efforts and enhancements to data privacy. There were no new updates in some of the other Vault capabilities, but data privacy is where we got some of our new updates. So with data privacy, we're going to go through the format real quick of recapping what our features are all about. And there's multiple here, and then I'm going to show you a demo. But there are three key takeaways for data privacy. We've expanded coverage of our ability to discover and anonymize sensitive data in journal fields. One of the things we heard from customers is we want to reach every crevice of our platform and instance to be able to discover sensitive data. And journal fields was something that we had to make an enhancement for to be able to detect. I'm happy to announce with Workspace UIs, we're actually able to detect and anonymize data in journal fields. The other focus that we've been that we've been maintaining our course on is instead of working on scheduled scans, which are wonderful, we're trying to work on having data be anonymized right as it enters the platform. So our real-time sensitive data discover anonymization, we call it RTA, has been introduced. And all customers, no matter if you have the data privacy SKU, are getting the opportunity to handle inbound incoming emails to the platform. Last but not least, there are capabilities to be able to use granular findings to just improve your process of discovering sensitive data and handling it. But rather than me talking to you about it, let's just jump into a demo so you can see all of these features in action.
Hello everyone. I'm going to give you a demo of some of our new features and capabilities of data privacy, which is offered as a standalone tool to discover sensitive data and anonymize it, or as part of our ServiceNow Vault offering. What I'm going to first show you is give you a little bit of a lay of the land on data privacy and what it's all about. And then I'm going to show you how these new 3 features really improve the quality of life of our teams that are responsible for protecting access to sensitive data. First things first, I am in a demo instance. I am using the system administrator account that's elevated. So I'm skipping a lot of the different steps and workflows that would be involved in truly doing this in your organization. But this is a demo, and I wanted to make things simple and easy to follow. First things first, I wanted to show you that we've already gone ahead and classified some of our data in this ServiceNow instance. As you can see, we have quite a bit of long ways to go, but we've laid the foundation in at least being able to show the capabilities for this particular demo. Next, I want to show that we have several new data patterns that were launched as part of our store release. You could see there's some new ones in there, like tax ID, driver's license, and many others. All of these can be created by our customers as well. In this particular demo, I have the following active data patterns turned on. I am targeting the following tables, and I've already gone ahead and done some data discovery that has helped me classify and label particular dictionary entries like work notes, description, business impact, and I've already anonymized some data. But those of us that are in this particular field know that there's always more work to be done, and new data finds its way in the instance by the minute. So how are we going to help with this? So what we've done in this particular Xanadu release is we've expanded our coverage. Before, you were able to extend and reach many of our tables and columns, but not journal fields. Well, I'm excited to share that journal field support has been introduced in this particular release, for any of our Workspace UI apps. And let's see what that means. So those of us that already are using our ServiceNow data privacy suite have already come to expect that we can detect sensitive data in things like the description or short description. But what about if sensitive data makes its way into the work notes? In this particular example, you could see that there's the social security number and phone number that was added to this particular ticket. What we want to do is we want to be able to run our scheduled job and count that it's going to be able to properly handle that sensitive information. Let's just really go through this job real quick, just so as a recap. We've defined our name for our job. We're going to be specifically targeting personally identifiable information. That's one of our classification labels. We are going to be looking for the following data in the following data columns, and we have a pattern associated with it, meaning how are we going to handle that sensitive data? In the current default, we're using our data pattern anonymization. So leaving it up to the definition of how that particular sensitive data should be properly anonymized. Then we're going to review our data pattern anonymization techniques. We could see that these are the ones that are currently enabled for this particular job or task. Let's go back to anonymization. Let's go ahead and run it and see if our actual journal field gets properly addressed. I'm going to schedule the job now. I'm just going to say cleaning up journal fields, put the start time and end time now, and I feel pretty confident about it. So I'm going to go ahead and hit schedule job. The job has been scheduled, and let's go take a look and see, sure enough, our data was properly anonymized. Now you can see the social security number here, and you can see that everything was anonymized besides the bracket for the phone number. So that's something we could go back into our data pattern and potentially further tweak if we didn't want to have that remaining. So that's the demo of our journal fields. This is an extension. This is something we didn't offer. Again, Workspace UI. And this is all great. And this represents a concerted effort to regularly detect, discover sensitive data, label it, and properly anonymize it. But what happens if we wanted to handle data as it makes its way into the platform? That could really cause data sprawl. With the increase of generative AI, just increase of the amount of tickets that we're seeing, it's often that data just gets in accidentally. We call it inadvertent, accidental data addition to a particular instance. So how would we go about handling in real time without having to run a scheduled job? We use the capabilities of real-time anonymization. So similar to how we ran a scheduled job for incidents, we also have an RTA policy defined here. So unlike it being a scheduled job, it's a real-time policy that's been set up. Let me show you what it looks like in action. It's actually really simple. So I'm going to go ahead and, similar to last time, I'm going to, this time, introduce sensitive data in the description in this particular incident. And I'm going to say just something, whatever, in the short description here. Let's just assign a caller, and then we could see here that we have the credit card, MasterCard. We saw that as one of our active data patterns, and we also have a phone number here. Email was not one of the ones that was targeted. So let's see what happens when you hit save. Just like that, immediately, as I hit update, as I perform the insert, the data was handled properly. And it's like magic. Really, all there was to it was that there was a policy defined. But because I've already labeled those particular fields and columns, but because I already have a way of defined for handling sensitive data as for specific types, it's as simple as us monitoring those particular tables and columns and being able to handle it in real time without the need of any kind of intervention from an admin. This is truly game-changing for our customers. Now, that sounds great. We have scheduled jobs and we have real-time anonymization. But what if we really just needed to build our confidence and making sure that we feel good about the patterns that we're creating? Meaning, sometimes we want to actually be able to look at sensitive data and be able to validate that it's sensitive data before taking a step on it, taking an action on it. That's where granular findings comes into play. And with granular findings, we have our same data patterns that are enabled for this particular instance. What we're really doing is we're keeping an eye out for sensitive data in particular columns. And in this case, I have the incident table, the business impact field turned on in this particular column. And I'm keeping an eye for potential sensitive data based on my patterns, but then choosing to act on it. So really building my confidence and validating that it is indeed, for example, a phone number or social security number before taking action. So let's see what this actually looks like. So I've already sped this up. There was a finding detected here in this particular incident. And it looks like the data pattern that matched was the credit card number for MasterCard. I'm actually going to click into the record, and before I take action, I'm going to make sure that it sure enough is a credit card. And sure enough, it is. So we could see in the business impact field here that there is the MasterCard in there. So when I go back to my granular findings, I can go ahead and take an action on it and anonymize it or ignore it if I chose. So what this really does is it's in between of our scheduled jobs and our real-time data handling. What this really does is it allows those that are going to be tasked with actually discovering and handling sensitive data to review records manually, to look and monitor specific fields and columns so that they could really build confidence that the rules that they're creating make sense and the anonymization techniques match their business needs. And that's all I have for Xanadu. So kind of a recap, we have journal fields, we have real-time anonymization, we have our granular findings, we added several out-of-the-box active data patterns, and then there's one last but not least thing that I wanted to touch on, and it is our ability to evaluate everything you've seen in this demo and other capabilities in a sub-production instance for 30 days. So you're seeing that I'm in the sub-production instance, so I have 30 days to evaluate all of these wonderful features and immediately get value from the tool. This is Andrew Vitolo, Data Privacy Outbound PM. Thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to getting some of your questions.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. So I'll be monitoring the chat for questions, but let's keep rolling. I'm going to hand it off to Taylor Okosinski to take us through what's new in Security Center.
Thank you. So when we're thinking about Security Center, we're thinking really about our system administrators. And system admins are expected to understand the security configurations of the platform, monitor for potential security attacks or misbehaviors, as well as comply with security best practices, which can be a lot if an admin may or may not have a security background themselves. And so what Security Center is really here to do is provide system admins the tools that they need to be successful and help keep the platform safe. And so you can see here in the spokes, this is really a broad overview of all the tools that we provide core to the platform for our admins. And I'll focus on the ones that are new for Xanadu, and we have a few. And that's going to be our security posture dashboards, security best practices, and security banner announcements. All right. Gain visibility in security KPIs and manage ServiceNow best practices. So the security posture dashboards is really kind of like a facelift to the main overview page within Security Center. If you haven't visited Security Center in the past, when you join or when you land on the landing page, it essentially gives you an overview of all these widgets and dashboards of what's the most relevant information for an admin to see based off of, what we believe that they should be looking at. But the nice thing about security posture dashboards as of the Xanadu release is when you're in the Security Center, you can now toggle between multiple instances and also to configure your own dashboards. So say an admin wanted to create a dashboard for a certain persona, for a certain stakeholder, they would be able to do so. And you can create as many dashboards as you'd like, or say they just kind of want to only see this type of information, they can configure a dashboard that fits the needs for them. When we're looking at security best practices, that's another tool in the Security Center tool belt. So Security Center, we have a lot of ServiceNow best practices throughout the platform. And what this does is put it in all one single place that allows admins to not only aggregate all the information, but also take step-by-step instructions on how they want to proceed. So Security Center best practices, like you see here in this screenshot, gives an overview of not only what the best practice is, but we also categorize them for maturity level as well as prioritization to make it a bit more descriptive and a bit more prescriptive and not as daunting when you just see a massive list of best practices. And security banner announcements is really interesting. So security banner announcements is essentially a way for ServiceNow to trigger a banner announcement to our customers. And this would be used in conjunction with the traditional model of sending an email to admins with the latest information and also any steps that they need to take for any critical information. But we're now able to take it one step further, which is say, okay, ServiceNow will also show a banner to the admins with the relevant information and any steps that they need to take. So those are the main features that we have new for Xanadu. Again, Security Center is core to the platform. For some of these features in the Xanadu release, they may need to be downloaded from the store app. So if you're in your instance and you're not really seeing them, I would just go to the store app and refresh the latest version. And I'll pass it over to the demo and I'll highlight the security posture dashboards and the security best practices. The ethos for Security Center is really to give ServiceNow system admins the tools and information they need to help keep the platform secure. And there's a handful of ways to do that, but the two features I'm going to touch on today are enhancements in the Xanadu release, one of which is the enhancements to Security Posture Dashboard, as well as best practices. So when you're looking at the homepage for Security Center, you can see here, this is the Security Posture Dashboard, and it's pre-configured with information that ServiceNow wants to highlight to the admins as the most relevant information that they may need. So you can see here, it highlights by users, login protection. You can see here with instance hardening, as well as instance trends. And if you're looking at the dashboards and you say, okay, this information is great, but I want to configure the dashboard to show certain information, and maybe that's for a specific persona, maybe it's just certain metrics that you want to just grab very quickly. We now have the ability for admins to create their own customizable dashboards. And the way to do so is just to go to more actions on the right-hand side, select duplicate. And what this will do is we'll make a copy of this configuration for the dashboard and then gives the admins the ability to edit. And the nice thing about this as well is admins can create as many dashboards as they'd like, and they can be shared with the intended audience. So that's a quick overview of the enhancements to security posture dashboards. When we're looking at the other enhancement for Xanadu, that's going to be our best practices. So when you go to the best practices tab towards the top, it gives a list, and note that this is a static list of best practices. And when I say static, I mean that this version is saying, here are the ServiceNow best practices that we want system admins to be aware of or take action on. And it's just a list that isn't being copied from what is going on in your instance. So admins, while they're reviewing the best practices, if they notice that one best practice has already been completed, they'll just want to go ahead and complete it in the tool itself. So looking at this list here, there's a list of 30 best practices, but we also gave some categorizations that can help an admin prioritize and kind of fine tune what they want to take action on. The main ones being maturity level. So build a foundation. So foundational, very beginner. Enhance the experience comes next. And then you're looking at add advanced features. And within those maturity levels, you also have priorities. So you can see here, these top ones that were floating to the top are immediate, but you can see here there is later and then not applicable, which can be marked manually as well. All right, say that I want to take a look at ensuring that the high security plugin is installed and activated. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to open that best practice, and it takes me to this overview page that gives me additional details as to why this is a ServiceNow best practice and the importance of it, and also links out to relevant documentation. So say I'm an admin, I'm looking at this best practice and I say, yeah, we actually haven't done that. And I want to know, okay, what can I do so that I have met this best practice? I'll go over to the task steps portion. And then you can see here, you want to expand it with the caret. And this will give you the step-by-step instructions on how to activate that plugin for this specific best practice. And once I have activated that plugin, I'll go back in here, mark the step complete, which will then give me the ability to go ahead and complete the best practice as well. So that is a quick overview of how we have the new enhancements for the Security Posture Dashboard, as well as Security Center best practices. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Taylor. And we'll hand it off over to Brianna Boss, who's going to talk us through what's new in Access Analyzer. Bree, your audio is not coming through. Let's just try one more time.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense
We
now.
saw you. You look beautiful, but now we're ready. We're ready to hear what knowledge you're going to drop on us.
I guess lip reading won't work here. Okay. Hello, everybody. As you know, changing access to resources can be very daunting. Admins need to know exactly what's going to change before they grant or revoke access to our users. Incorrect access can have serious consequences. If only there was a way to try out new roles or group changes before they go live in production. This is the feedback that we have been hearing from our customers. In previous releases, Access Analyzer has enabled admins to understand why a user lacks access by identifying missing roles and groups. But now we're going to introduce a new tool called Access Simulator. With Access Simulator, admins can now preview and simulate access changes, such as adding or removing a role for a user or modifying group memberships. And now we can see exactly how these changes are going to affect resource access on a table level. The result is a clear comparative view of the access before and after the proposed changes. This is going to give admins more confidence while configuring user access on the ServiceNow platform. It sounds great, right? So let's go to the demo and let's take a look. To get to the Access Simulator from the Access Analyzer home screen, click Access Simulator in the top menu. In this scenario, I am a ServiceNow admin and I want to change the access of my new hire, Michael Scott. I want to grant him elevated access to my instance and want to see how that will affect access to the user table, which contains sensitive information about my users. I want to make sure that the access granted to the user table is what I had in mind before I actually make these changes live. Just a reminder that the simulation of these changes are done in memory and nothing actually saves to the database. On the Access Simulator page, you can see that there are 4 options: adding a role to the user, removing a role from the user, adding a user to a group, and removing the user from a group. For this scenario, we're going to simulate adding Michael to a new group. The first step is the simulation criteria page, where we're going to select all the inputs for the simulation. So we're going to add Michael to the IT admin group, and we're going to see his access on the user table. Let's click next to start the simulation. This is the preview changes step. In preview changes, we can see the node representation of what roles were added as part of adding Michael to the IT admin group. Here we can see that the admin role greatly expanded Michael's access by adding both the admin role and the admin child roles. But how does this affect his access to the user table specifically? We're going to click next so we can see the simulated results page. This is the most important part of our result. Here we have the list of operations that could be performed on the table, and we can see the present status and the simulated status have different results. Present status is the result without any new groups added, and simulated status is the result with adding the IT admin group. Here you can clearly see there were many operations that were blocked in the present status, which now pass in the simulated status after adding the user to the group. Let's click on the report view operation for more data. Here we can see that there is an ACL which was blocked in present status, which is now passed in the simulation. Now let's click Next. This is the Take Action page. Until now, what we did was all part of a simulation. But here on the Take Action page, we can actually save necessary role or group changes if we're satisfied with the results. In this case, we would be adding Michael to the IT admin group. This will save the changes at the database level. Since I am happy with the access level, I will click Add and Complete to save the changes to Michael's access.
That's wonderful. That's really feels really powerful. Did you want to add anything else, Bree, before we turn it over to Derek?
No, that was it. Thank you guys for watching our demo.
Excellent. Awesome. Excellent. Well, we are on to the access controls portion of our webinar, and I'm going to turn over to Derek Borland. Talk us through what's new with access controls.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. I'm actually really excited about this, which may tell you something about me right off the bat, but let's go ahead and jump into it. So currently our access controls are based on allow if decisions, which allows access to data conditions if it matches, whether it's by roles or groups, certain security attributes like is the user authenticated, or data conditions like allowing admins to update VIP users. However, as a platform usage becomes more diverse and all of our access control policies become more granular, only having that allow decision leads to some more complexity when setting up access controls, which also leads to complexity when managing or troubleshooting those access controls. So we kind of developed a way to add more flexibility and scalability into our current access control features. So by introducing the deny unless decision, which allows you to explicitly deny access to a resource unless all the conditions are met, it also sits on top of the hierarchy. So if you are denied due to that deny unless decision, any allow access underneath that isn't going to give you that access. So it really sits on that top of that decision-making hierarchy. So this combined with your already existing allow access controls will give you greater control and the ability to add that next level security that you're kind of looking for when setting up your access control, or even meeting those access control policies that may have changed or are now setting in place. So let's go ahead and take a quick demo that I recorded showing the new deny unless access controls. Okay, let's go ahead and start the demo. It's going to be a pretty basic use case. Let's just say we want to limit access to the user table to only those who we say are in a group that we have created called IT admins. Right now, with just our allow if access controls, all admins can see that sys user table. So we're going to limit that by using the deny unless access controls. Let's go ahead and start with a new ACL. We want to make sure that they can't even read it. We'll go ahead and do deny unless, which is new in the dropdown. We'll go ahead and pick that sys user table. Change the role to admin. This is when we'll add the new security attribute condition. So we'll choose a group, and within that group, they must be IT admin group. We'll go ahead and submit that. Now let's go ahead and impersonate a user, see if it worked. So we're going to impersonate Michael Scott. Michael Scott right now is just an admin. He does not have access to that IT admin group, which, if you've all watched The Office, is probably a good thing. You don't want Michael Scott to have a lot of access. So let's go ahead and see if it worked. We'll go see if he can see that user table. And as you can see, you get that security constraints prevent access to request page. So that is the basic introduction to deny unless ACLs.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Derek. And I love the Michael Scott reference you and Bree both shared. I think we might have to make that a standard for all of platform security. Well, folks, I think this concludes our overview and demo portion. And luckily, as planned, we have about 15-20 minutes, I think, for Q&A. But let me just recap what you saw today. We covered ServiceNow Vault and our data privacy capabilities with support for journal fields, real-time discovery and anonymization, granular findings, support for inbound emails, as well as an evaluation period of 30 days in sub-production. Taylor took us through Security Center best practices and being able to look and track those in an ordered list. We've also introduced the ability for security banner announcements for your teams, and then a Security Center multi-instance posture dashboard. Bree took us through Access Simulator, which is part of Access Analyzer, and demonstrated how we can preview and simulate access and then apply it at the end if we choose. And then Derek just covered our access controls, our deny unless access control, and how it changes how we do access controls on the ServiceNow platform.